So it's been 6 months since the iPhone 13 has came out. And in this video, my goal is to help you answer the question, is this phone worth it right now in 2022, or should you wait for the iPhone 14? Let's talk about it. We're closing in on 250K subs, so make sure you're a part of that journey right now. So my initial impressions of this phone is still true. This is a great performing device. It can do everything you need a phone to do pretty much. It's heavy, it's thick, and it's a large phone. But beyond the size, it's really hard to find a major drawback against this phone. I would say the build of this phone is expected from an iPhone these days. This is sort of the modern iPhone look. You have the stainless steel rails that are right here. They do get fingerprints on them as you continue to use the phone. It's something you can just sort of wipe off. The back has this frosted color, which I love the frosted back. It is great. And the lens housing is glossy, and then you have the lenses right here. The lenses are kind of big. They kind of protrude a little bit, so you do get a lot of dust that kind of gets stuck in between there, but it's not a big deal. I do recommend a case for this phone, obviously, because it's such a large phone. It's a little heavy, kind of easy to drop in my opinion. There's a couple cases here I want to talk to you, ones I've been using. This one is an official case from Apple, has the MagSafe. It's kind of like a silicone feel. It's a basic case. It is $50. I think it's a little expensive for what it is, but it works decently well. Then we have this case from Pitaka. This right here is Kevlar, and it has MagSafe as well here at the bottom, and it protects the phone decently. It's kind of like a semi-protection. The bottom is not gonna be protected at all, as you can see, and the sides are not super protected, but it's a very strong case. It's kind of like a slim but yet protection. And then we have Caudable. I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. I have this on my 13 Pro. I bought this case and I absolutely love this case. It has like this nice feeling to it, like this almost like sandpaper, like sandstone feel. Everything is textured. The buttons are nice and clicky, and it provides a little bit more protection. You do have the lips around it a little bit. So this case right here, I really do dig. I'm actually gonna buy one for the 13 Pro Max as well. Those are cases that I like to use. Everything I talk about and more accessories are down below in the description. Hey, let me interrupt myself to talk about today's sponsor, NordVPN. Would you walk outside with no clothes on, but your personal information and credit cards and bank statements and all those things just attached to your body? If the answer is yes, get some help. But the answer is no, and you're not using a VPN, then you're actually doing that right now. NordVPN is an easy to use VPN with over 5,400 servers and 60 countries. If you connect to public Wi-Fi, then that person a couple seats down from you could be snooping on you right now, looking at messages, credit card information. Everything you're doing online is not secure. With NordVPN, you can set it up for one click to automatically connect to a VPN server to protect you from that snooping person. You can use NordVPN for even watching content online. Without NordVPN, The Office is no longer available on Netflix, but once I move my location to Canada, The Office is back on Netflix. Also for gamers, if you're tired of getting beat up in American servers, switch your VPN to a different country and see if you can have better luck beating people from different countries. Can't guarantee you'll have success, but give it a shot. On a serious note, my degree is in computer information systems for homeland security, and protecting your data is now more important than ever. Now, experts believe the next war will be more so digital than physical. So stepping up your security game is very important. With NordVPN, you can protect up to 6 devices on every major platform, including mobile. Get an exclusive NordVPN deal here in the description below for a risk-free 30-day trial. And now that we're all protected, let's get back to that iPhone. Now, once I work past the day-to-day frustrations of it just being large, you start to adjust, and I was adjusting pretty well to this phone. Now, I still do struggle when typing messages and text messages with one hand. It's still kind of tough for me, to be honest, and I do struggle if I have to reach the top of the screen with one hand as well. Of course, there's the reachability mode, which you can access, but it just doesn't have the same flow to it, and it's just kind of like, I don't know, hard to remember to do all the time. But beyond those two main things that I have struggles with, everything else is great. So then when I type with two hands, it's a little bit better, but still a struggle for me. So yeah, this phone is definitely a two-handed phone. I have to use two hands to effectively use the phone, and it's just one of those things that I have to sort of adjust the way I'm using my phone for it to really make sense for me. Now, I will say for things like editing a story for Instagram, something that historically is really hard to do with one hand. It requires like little slight movements and things like that. That right there becomes a whole lot easier when you have a much larger phone. And then when it comes to like reading through a lot of emails at once, just having this large screen, I can see more emails at one time and flick away things that I'm not using. So day to day, having a bigger screen is a net benefit. There are some cons, but for me, there are more benefits than cons. You know, the true reason that I kind of switched back to the Pro Max was travel. I needed better battery life. The 13 Pro does have pretty good battery, but I wanted something that was even better. And to be honest, having this phone right here, when I go out, I just know I'm gonna have good battery. No matter what time I take it off the charger, I know it's gonna last throughout the whole day. So I absolutely dig this display. HDR looks really great on it. You probably can't see it on the camera right now, but HDR looks really good on this display. The colors are nice, they're accurate, and I don't have many problems with it. It does get very bright outside, which makes it very easy to use in any condition, but the only thing I don't like about the screen is that it doesn't get dim enough at night. Let's say I'm laying in bed and I wanna do some text messages or anything like that. I think the minimum brightness is still too bright. And that's just kind of a pet peeve of mine, if you will. But beyond that, you can't modify the screen color temperature if you want, like you can with some other phones. Kind of a minor inconvenience, as I like how the screen looks, but I would like the option to modify it. Also, we gotta talk about the notch, which definitely comes into play when you're watching content. Now, it's something that you kind of can easily forget about over time, and I definitely do forget about it a lot, but you know, using phones like the S22 Ultra, you don't see the notch. And then going back to this phone, it's kind of hard not to, you know, look at this notch when you're using other phones that don't have notches. I know with the iPhone 14, supposedly they're gonna get rid of the notch, but at the same time, it is here right now and I have to talk about it. But the notch does enable Face ID. It's one of those things, is the notch worth Face ID to you? To me, it is. I do like Face ID. It is a very fast way to get to your phone, but beyond it being fast to get into your phone, I love that it's an authentication method for making purchases and doing everything like that. I love that Face ID is a system level thing that other apps can tap into. So for me, it is worth having Face ID for this notch. So this is Apple's latest processor inside, and all the iPhones, no matter which one you buy, even the iPhone SE has the latest processor inside. So I wouldn't buy this iPhone because it has a better processor, but the optimization and how all the apps works together makes having an iPhone worth it. What I mean by that is that let's say you have a MacBook, you're doing text messages on a MacBook. Those text messages will come over to your iPhone. Let's say on your MacBook, you're looking at a news story, you're reading something. On here, if you launch the same app, it should pick up where you left off. There's a lot of little things like that where buying an iPhone and you're in the ecosystem, just sort of everything kind of works together at that point. Now, as a standalone device, this phone is still great, but I think its greatest advantage is when you have more than one Apple product in your home. So performance on this phone obviously is going to be great. Everything is going to be very zippy, very fast. You can load almost any application instant. When you open it back up, it's just going to be there for the most part waiting for you. A lot of apps are going to do that. But what's also really neat is that the processor isn't just surface level. It's going to be a lot of things in the background too that makes the processor that much more impressive. So any type of hardcore 3D gaming, any AR experiences, if you're rendering video, this processor makes it much more faster and much more efficient so it doesn't tap into the battery. But if you're using it just purely off speed, you're not going to see a huge difference compared to last year's model. And compared to the next year's model, you're not going to see a big speed difference day to day. But when it comes to that processing stuff, that hardcore stuff, that is when you see the big processing difference. But once again, is that enough to upgrade from last year's chip? I don't think so. Let's talk about the camera on this phone. You do have a triple camera setup. We've all seen this before. So you have the wide angle, you have the ultra wide, and then you have the 3x zoom. I would say overall that this is the most consistent camera. It's just solid, like taking pictures of people or animals or kids and outdoor nature. You're gonna have good pictures. You're gonna have solid pictures. Now, a lot of people want to compare this camera to other phones, and I think you can do it, but there's a story you need to tell, where I think the Pixel is the best at portraits, and Samsung is the best as far as like Swiss Army knife, because Samsung could do so many things like 100x zoom and all these other crazy cool shooting modes. But I'd say as far as consistency, the iPhone has all those beat. When you talk about video, iPhone is amazing when it comes to HDR video. I use a lot of this video and I just look back at it and I'm just really impressed on how this looks coming out of this phone. Also, the audio is really good on the video camera too. Now, the S22 has really good video as well, but the iPhone can kind of match it in many aspects too. So I would say overall, my experience with the 13 Pro Max is that its size does get in the way, but the benefits for me outweighs the cons as far as its size. This is just a rock solid phone with amazing battery life, and battery is something I don't even think about anymore with this phone. Now, like I said, I've been using it kind of hardcore for the past month, but I've been using it off and on since it came out, and I am confident confident to say that this phone is gonna be up there as one of the best phones up until the new iPhone 14 comes out. But as of right now, if you're looking to buy a new phone, should this be worth it? Is this phone worth your money today? To be honest, there's so much rumors going around with the iPhone 14, the removal of the notch, a new design, that if you can hold off, I recommend holding off to the 14 Pro Max. I rarely say hold off when you're 6 months away, but when a big design is coming out, that's something you should really think about. Anyways, guys, Kevin the Tech Ninja, I hope you enjoyed this video, my long-term review of the iPhone 13. Have yourself a great day. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.